Hey guys, welcome to another day at the shop. Today I am prepping the 5.4 for the Expedition. I'm rebuilding it. Everything other than timing, which looked great, and the bearings, which look great. So we're getting that done. The head, one of the heads has a cam that went bad and apparently ruined the rocker, or the rocker ruined the cam and ruined the valve at the same time. So with that, it's at the machine shop. It's getting done. It should be done this week. This video is going to take a couple days because the fact of how much work I have to do. So today I am prepping pistons. So as you see, this one's all pretty and done. It's number one. This is number two. Look at how grimy and nasty it is. Alright, I'm cleaning the piston ring grooves, cleaning the tops, the sides, kind of just sparkling them up. As you see with this one, it's just getting all the crud off of it, ready to go back in. The pistons look pretty good. I don't see any excessive wear of heat or scarring on the cylinder walls or the pistons themselves. So that's what I'm doing today, is just prepping for later. I've already got the piston rings. They're right here. Piston rings, a new belt for when I get the pulley system back in, and then a new cam sensor, even though I've got 2 or 3 right now. So as you saw in the last video though, paint, prepping paint. So it doesn't look the greatest, but it's covering and shiny and takes away all the nasty rust and everything else. These cast aluminum manifold or valve covers, I didn't really clean up or anything else. I prepped them and threw a coat of paint on them just to make them look a whole lot better than a grimy mess that they were. So I'm going to get back to cleaning these pistons. So stay tuned, and I'll have the rest of this video wrapped up with putting the engine together. So got all those piston rings pulled apart. Got all these pistons labeled and redrew the arrow. These things came out very clean looking. If you've never cleaned out a piston before, what you normally do is the old school way. These rings, once they break, you just take them. I bent this one, it worked out really well so I could have a better handle on it. You take this end, and you run it in this groove on each one, getting all the crud out of them. And then I squirt brake cleaner all over them and blow them out. And it works really well. Still crud coming out. I'm not too worried about it. It's not going to be 100% perfect like it came from the factory. But I'm also not an engine builder. So this is going to be probably my 3rd engine that I built. Had 2 of them do fairly well, other than one had a mishap that was kind of my own fault but out of my control at the same time. So these are done. They're ready for the piston rings. Here's the piston rings. They're going to go in. Got the block. Gonna start looking at getting the piston rings set in here. So as you see, the water pump's on. Piston rings will be set in here. I'm going to clean this up a little bit more and get it ready for the head gasket. But the way you do this is take your piston ring, your new piston ring, you squeeze it into here. You take the piston and you push it down just enough, which is wherever that piston ring is going to be, which is probably about 1 lip on the piston. And once it's settled flat, well, technically, what you do is you take and you put the first ring in the piston, put the top ring in, alright, and then you take your next ring and you put it in here, put it in here, push the piston down so it gets beyond that lip right there, and then you measure it with your feeler gauges. If you've never known or used feeler gauges, they come different ways, but this is what they are. A bunch of different thicknesses of metal, and you stick it in, you find out the correct spec for your piston ring. If your piston ring's too small, what you do is you can file it down. It takes a while, but you want it to be right for your specification. Otherwise, you'll have some issues later down the road. Excess wear, oil won't be going by like it needs to, and other things like that. You'll have scoring. Many different things can happen with mechanical means. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up cleaning this block up, putting the piston rings in, checking all of them, getting them all prepped, getting all these pistons prepped. I should be getting the head back in the next few days. I'm still waiting on my gasket kit. That's why nothing else has really been done. So we're going to get this started, and then as this is going, I'm still spraying down stuff in here, getting off the caked oil and whatnot. Since it is four-wheel drive, I'm going to do a service on the front diff while I have more access to it. The transmission, since the engine's out and I have more room for it, I'm also going to do a service on it. Probably won't be in a video, but you never know. Never know what you get time for. So stay tuned. Alright, so right now I'm getting my piston rings done. As you see, I've done a few of them already. So I'm getting them all gapped the right way. Right now I've got this other cylinder I'm doing. It needs 25, well, I don't even know, I can't remember how to say it, 25 thousandths. So this is the feeler gauge, like I told you before, that I'm using. And I've got this evenly in there in the cylinder by using this top ring on this piston, pushing it down, making sure it's even all the way around. And then once I do that, I know that's even in the cylinder. Sticking this feeler gauge between the gap, and the gap, as you see, is not letting this in. So I have to grind down that gap a little bit to make 25 thousandths, because I would say that's about 15 thousandths, because that's what they've been coming as, 13th to 15th thousandths as a ring gap. So you can see I'm grinding right here off one side, and just slowly grinding it down, checking it, grinding it down, checking it, and it needs to be 100% flush if you can make it as a 90-degree angle to this going around. So whenever it closes purely like that. It makes one full circle. So I'm going to continue this and let y'all watch on time lapse. Like I said, I'm on the third cylinder that I've done so far. I've got, what, 5 more to go, and a lot of rings to go, because you got to do top, middle, and bottom. And the bottom has 2. The bottom's a little bit easier because they're very thin, so you just got to watch out and not break them. Using some tools for this, some ring pliers work really well. Let me grab mine. Got these from AutoZone just because I needed some. So all they do is you put the ring in, slide it in, and you can push it out like that without breaking it. What I've done before is I've tried to put them on by hand, and trying to move it around the cylinder, I snapped one and then had to put the whole entire build on hold because I had to order some more piston rings. So don't break them, because it sucks when you have to order more and then wait forever to get them. So I'm going to continue this, like I said, and have fun watching. Alright, seeing as we got 4 of them done, now we got to do the other 4. You've seen a time lapse, I've explained it to you. you shouldn't have any problem with doing this yourself. Make sure you get the gap right, the gap ring numbers, the gap number, I'm saying that right, correct, because if you don't, you can either lead to more scoring in the cylinders, or oil won't be coating like it needs to on the cylinder walls. So you need to make sure of those two things. On top of that, making sure that edge is square, because if it's not square, it can score into the cylinder wall as well, or the piston itself, and it won't complete the gap either. So make sure that you're doing what you need to do. It's not too difficult. I'm not a professional by any means. I'm just learning kind of as I go every single time I do something like this. Like I said, I've made a few engines, and this is the first V8 I've done. I've done a couple 4-cylinders. This won't be the last. This is number 1. Got number 2 and 3 over in the corner over there, and we're going to continue this. So let's get this done, and once I get them all gapped, I'll get the compressor, put the spring compressor on there, or the ring compressor, put the pistons in, and I'm going to start torquing them down with the new bearings and all that. Once I get the assembly done, I'll be ready to go for my cylinder head. It's not back from the machine shop yet, but I have a feeling they'll call me either tomorrow or Tuesday, and so I should have it one of those days. Since today's Sunday, just getting things done, ready to go, because I'm ready for this truck to be out of my shop. So yeah, let's get this done. Alright, so got all the pistons in now. Now I've got to torque all these down. The measurement for this is we do 18, and then we go around again and do 30, and then do 90 degrees on a torque angle wheel, which I got some right now. Alright, so this just measures the angle of torque once you start applying pressure. So we're going to use this to set the biting pressure on each of the bolts. So I've never used one of these. I've read about it, so hoping it should be good. Engine goes over smooth right now with nothing completely tightened down, but the pistons are moving up and down very nicely. The rotating assemblies like butter. So I'm going to start doing this and see how this goes. Alright, so got all the connecting rods torqued down. Now I've got the oil pump on with the pickup, and now I'm placing this down on here. I don't have to yet, but considering there's still kind of some oil in it and it'll keep the bottom clean, I can always take it back off if need be, but I'm going to go ahead and put the oil pan back on. Seeing as the only thing left that the oil pan is going to be connecting to that's not on the motor is the front cover for the timing stuff. So we can go ahead and put this on and start on the front and getting all the timing stuff in as much as I can. I still got to go pick up the other head today, and that's what I'm about to go do. So. Alright guys, well my camera died, the battery died in it. So I've gotten the first head on, started doing some timing. The issue I'm having right now is with the tensioner for the timing. I can't seem to figure out how to pin the plunger back. This plunger right here. It looks almost like there's a special tool to grip it right here and right here, and right here and right here, and squeeze it down. But I don't have that. So makeshift. We're gonna have to figure it out and get it right here. And once we do that, this chain will be under tension, good tension, and I won't have to worry about it anymore. Because right now, got a little slack on this side and no slack on this side, so we might just turn this and see how that goes. So we're going to continue with the time lapse. We're going to get this other cylinder head on, do the timing on it, and start just putting more things on here and getting it done. The front cover is going to be one of the last things I put on. Once I put that on, I'm going to pull this whole thing off this engine stand, because this engine stand's not the greatest for this size motor. And I'm going to put it on the tire again and finish putting things on it. I'm going to hold it up just with the chain hoist to finish out, but I'm going to put the exhaust valve or exhaust manifolds on both sides, and anything else accessory wise that I got to put on before I put it in there. So I'm going to knock it out. So stay tuned for a time lapse. Alright, so everything's back together as you see. Front, fan, everything. So now I'm going to lower it into the engine bay and get to it later on the fact of hopefully tomorrow on buttoning this up to the transmission. So once I get it in there and everything, line it up, get it butted up to the transmission, I should be on the downhill part of hooking all the connections up and getting it started in the next couple of days, because limited on time. So just like any working man, just gonna handle it and get it done. Alright, so you see that I got the engine installed. So it's in there. You can kind of see it leaning forward because the flywheel or pressure plate is actually touching the transmission torque converter. So I'm going to keep pressure on the engine and I'm going to slide the transmission back just a little bit, and hopefully the back end will drop with the engine. Once it does that, I should be able to bring them together and mate them so that everything will start falling into place. We're going to see how quick this kind of goes together. It should be a lot quicker than me taking it apart, because I kind of know what I'm doing this time on where everything goes. Last time I was kind of learning, so I had to go back and forth and wiggle and wiggle and wiggle. This time I know exactly where everything goes. The worst part is getting the bolts to line up and pull in like they're supposed to. So I'm hoping that that will all match up very nicely. So we're going to see how this goes. Alright, so I didn't show that I just hooked up the transmission. the starter, tightened down the transmission mount, hooked up both drive shafts and the exhaust. All that's taken care of. I even put the power steering on. Next, I have the AC to hook up down here, and then start moving stuff around up here and getting the intake and the wiring and all that done. And then I'll move all the way up. Once I start getting all that pieced together, I'll get the radiator support and all that. I'm going to go ahead and put the intake in before I put the radiator support in, because I'm going to have to get up in the engine compartment to figure out the wiring behind the intake. Like I told y'all when I took the motor out in the last video, there's a wire. There's only like one way to do it, and if you don't do it that way, it'll get caught up in the mechanism that's back there, so the intake won't work right. So you got to put that wire the right way, otherwise it won't work. So with that, like I said, the motor's in, everything's going good so far. Yeah, I'm just going to put y'all on time lapse because there's no need for me to explain what you've already seen when I uninstalled the engine and removed it. So now I'm just going to put y'all on time lapse again and get this AC compressor in here done, and which is only 3 bolts, I think. Once I do that, then it comes down to the intake and the wiring. I still gotta go get one more spark plug and before I can actually run the car. So yeah. Alright, so you can see that everything's basically put back together. I got the front radiator support in, I got the radiator and the condenser hooked up with all the lines going where they need to go and hooked up. Everything in here is ready to go. I still need to put the radiator hose in, the radiator overflow, and then fill the whole system up, put oil in the engine, and then I'm going to pull out number 32 fuse, which goes to the fuel pump, and prime the motor so I can see if it can get the oil pressure up before I start it. And we don't want fuel all in the system and not being ran on, so I don't want to start it. So we're going to get this done. Like I said, everything up here is done. Last couple things I've got are the bumper, the headlights, and the grill over there, and the hood. So that's what I'm going to handle right now. I'm going to get this overflow in. I'm going to go get some water, get it in the system, fill that whole thing up because it's going to burp. Get all the water where it needs to go, make sure nothing's leaking or anything else, and pray that it all goes together good. So let's get this thing going. Alright, so now I've got all fluids in there. I've got my funnel right here to make sure that I have adequate water and it doesn't spill everywhere when I pour it in. I've got oil in it. I've turned it over with oil in it to kind of prime the system with oil and get the pressure up. I put the fuse back in. Right now I'm charging the battery. I'm going to prime the fuel system a few times, and then we're going to see if this thing will crank. So fingers crossed. Alright, here we go. Try number 2. Alright, 3rd tries the charm. we got some stumble, so we're going to see how that goes. I'm going to charge this battery up a little bit more, and hopefully it'll crank over.
3 days later.
Alright, well, after taking that minute since it wouldn't start, started diving into things, and it's been a few days. Went through, found out that the wrong cam was put on the head whenever I bought a cam. It was the wrong one. It's for the driver's side, not the passenger side. It didn't hurt anything, so I've fixed that issue. I've got everything in place. It cranks, it runs, it's perfect. It sounds amazing. It's so much quieter. I had an exhaust leak before and I fixed that in the process. As you see, everything's back. Since I've taken the few days to do everything, I've gotten everything going good. I haven't driven it yet, but it has fluid in it. I just ran it up to temperature. It looks good, no leaks so far. So I'm going to take it on a test drive and see how it does. It sounds amazing. The compression's awesome. I checked the compression in the process of checking everything else, and let's see, it was 190 across the board, so it was almost perfect, 100% all the way across all 8 cylinders. So but I'm happy to say it's done, or hopefully done. I'm going to take it around the block like I said, and I'll let y'all know possibly in the next video how it went, or in the comments. So if you have any questions or anything else, check out the comment section of this video. Check out Facebook and Instagram for our Teespring and keeping up to date and everything with other things as of the giveaways that we're going to be having. In the process of giving away a Amazon gift card for $50. So all you got to do is subscribe. So thank you for joining in. Until next time.